There are 7 mistakes that will prevent you from getting back with your ex. You have to know those mistakes. You have to know each of them, because if you make one of them, you're actually damaging your chances to get back with your ex. As usual, the way I would structure the video is pretty much helping you, providing you a toolkit for you to make the right decision and have the right mindset to get back with your ex. I'll explain everything after the jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So the first part is really about the mindset and the attitudes, things that you have to think, things that you have to remember when it comes to getting back with your ex. Be manipulative. It's something you have to avoid at all costs. For example, being too happy too quickly. Your ex expects you to be depressed. Of course, you don't want to show that, but you don't want either to show that you're super happy and hanging out with people. It doesn't make sense. Or the use of social media, when we post more than usual, or where we have people that are not actually our friends and we pretend not to be happy. The try to make them jealous strategy. All these strategies are things that you are using to manipulate your ex, to change the reality, to distort the reality, to be fake in a way. These strategies can work. And you might hear people online on YouTube or elsewhere providing you or asking or mentioning these strategies. I am a bit risk adverse when it comes to getting back with an ex, because as soon as your ex realizes that you're trying something to get them back, it is game over. It's exactly the same way as when a magician gets caught, then the trick is done. Nobody will believe him, nobody will be amazed by him, and it's over. His credibility is done. So it can work, but it's very dangerous. And so I would argue that the risk reward is negative in that sense. Maybe you'll improve your image by 50%, but you have 10% chance of it succeeding. What I'm offering you is not guaranteed, but at least limited risk. So you'll improve your image by 10%, but you have like 0.1% of them to be upset, of them to coach you. Okay, so it's very important for you to understand that being manipulative is a strategy that exists, but it's very dangerous. So I would argue not to use that. Being impatient, and I think it's really something, a mindset that a lot of people have. They want to get back with their ex as quickly as possible. And what you have to understand is what came as a shock, that news of breaking up came as a shock, is the result of a long process, a long thought process in your ex's mind. And so you're not working on the same timelines. For them, they have matured this decision, and it's very hard for you, or for them, to understand that you understood and you're ready to change. If you just come back to them in 2 weeks, it's like, yes, I understood and I will change. That's not what they want right now. And change, real change, because this is what we're talking about. I'm not talking about relationship where you just need a quick fix to get back together. I'm talking about people who've been together for months and years, people who had a future, people who have kids. And when that type of relationship ends, it's for a reason, it's for a deep reason, it's for something that requires a lot of effort, a lot of change, and change takes time. If it's about your work-life balance, you can't change your work in 2 weeks. And you can't come back to your ex saying like, I will change. It doesn't work. Promises are useless when it comes to convincing an ex to be back with you. So in a way, your ex will appreciate that you take time. Your ex will appreciate that actually you took the time to apply for new jobs, to have different interviews and stuff like that. Okay, and it takes time. I'm taking the job example, but it could be many things. Maybe about your health, maybe about your habit, maybe about your lifestyle, maybe about your communication, all this kind of stuff. You can't fix it in 1 or 2 weeks. It takes some time. And to be honest, what's important takes time. Raising kids, building a house, all this kind of stuff. If you want something meaningful, it takes time. There's no shortcuts. Sorry. If you're looking for shortcuts, if you're looking for magic, incantation or stuff like that, I would suggest to click elsewhere. and find other content, because I'm not your man for that. Number 3, you idealize your ex. Again, it's something that we have in our mind. I've done that in the past with when I got dumped in the past when I was in my 20s, and I felt like, oh no, she's the perfect woman, she's amazing. And the reason why we do that is because we want what we can't have. And as this news comes as a surprise, or maybe you saw it coming, now that you can't have your ex, you think that by being accepted by your ex, you will add value, you will be validated, because a breakup can be perceived as a rejection. And so that's why it triggers that element of idealizing your ex, because we feel our value is there and their value is there. It's also to boost our self-esteem. Again, rejection and negativity around yourself brings yourself down, and we feel that our ex is just amazing. Also to prove ourselves that we deserve to have our ex. Sometimes the other way is that you decided to break up with me and I'm going to fight, I'm going to prove you wrong, which I think in a way is the right mindset, but you should really be careful with that, because you don't want again to idealize your ex. Remember that you are equal. Again, I'm making this video for people who had a stable relationship, or at least a loving relationship, where you felt equal, where you felt equally invested in a relationship. Of course, you're different, but equally invested in that relationship where you were both loved, and you felt like this. Why right now, after the breakup, you suddenly feel like this? It doesn't make sense. So remember, 6 months ago you were there. 6 months ago you were a couple, a unit. It doesn't have to be this way anymore. You have to remember that belief system, that story that you're telling yourself that you're not good enough, it's just a story. You're the same person, right? You're the same person, but it's just something happened in the relationship that made your ex to make the decision to break up with you. Now it's really about actions. And I will recap at the end of the video what you should be doing with those actions, but it's really, I want you to note them somewhere where anytime you do something, you make sure that you don't do those actions. The begging, a classic one, and I think most of you are already aware of that, so I'll go very quickly on this. They have convinced themselves that you should not return, maybe for the wrong or right reason. As I mentioned, it didn't happen one morning when they woke up, and they listened to that little voice, we have to leave. And by begging, you show that negativity, you show drama, you give them even more difficulty to break up, even more drama in that situation of breaking up. It reinforces their desire to leave. So in that case, reset, no contact. Begging is the worst action you can make right now if you want to get back with your ex. It simply doesn't work. Number 5 is to vent to all your friends. And it's completely natural to want to talk with friends, to want to talk and share how you feel, to share or ask questions, because you might be looking for answers. It's totally normal. When we are depressed, we need to speak with someone. When I feel down, when I don't feel like, working or things like that, I like to confess to my wife or friends and stuff like that. It's actually the best way to feel better. So don't get me wrong, it's a natural way and it's the right strategy. However, by doing that with friends, you are projecting an image of you negative, or an image of you depressed. And right now, it's the last thing you want to do. Right now, you have to be on your A game. You have to show that you are a positive and attractive person. By coming across to your friends like this, there's a risk that your ex hears about your state, that your ex hears that you're depressed, that you're negative. You also don't want to speak with your friend and be talking about your ex in a negative or positive way. You don't want your friends to hear that, she was so amazing, I miss her so much, because when she'll hear that, she'll be basically thinking, okay, he's chasing me, he's still on the hook, he's too needy, this kind of stuff. And as you know, needy is not sexy. The other way around is a lot of people are like that. They are like, she's such a bitch. I hate her, you know, how could she do that? We were married for 20 years. And again, what happens if when she hears that? Because people are talking, even if you think they are not, even if you feel that you can confess, at some stage, this type of information will come to her knowledge. And also be mindful of the distortion of messages. Sometimes they don't talk about to your ex to push you down. Sometimes they just see that you're, you know, not doing well, and they will tell your ex because they think it's the right things to do. Okay, so be really mindful of those friends, not because they are not caring for you, not because you can't trust them, but it's because it can reflect the wrong image right now. 6 is to fail to understand what they want. It is the most undervalued mistake that I see amongst my clients and people I speak with every day, is that they think they understand why their ex broke up with them. They base their strategy on assumptions. They don't understand the psychological mechanism, and I can't blame you because you're not a therapist, coach, counselor. It's, you know, not everyone has that knowledge, and that's why I'm doing those videos, for you to understand and to really put yourself into their shoes. So you know, read about attachment style. Maybe they have trauma. You have had trauma. Maybe the codependency, the communication styles, all these kind of things. And there's so many topics, so many things that make you different than your ex. And the thing is also, we always take into account what they clearly say. And most people are not really good at communicating their needs, are not really good at communicating what they want. And so very often, when someone decides to break up, the way they express or explain why they broke up is actually not really exactly what they had in mind. It's not exactly what what's their drive, because either they don't want to make you suffer, either they don't know how to express it, or just simply because they want to protect you. And so it's very important for you to really analyze and have the big picture, because what you don't want to do is to come up with your ex with a solution. I understand this was like, it's not exactly what they expect from you. And when you do that move, because you don't have plenty of moves to get back with your ex, they'll give you just 1 second chance, or maybe 2 second chances, but you can't really come back to them with something that's not relevant and spot on. Also, the bias, or the cognitive bias that we have, is that we replay the story with our brain. We replay the stories like, okay, we got into the fight because of this. I was on the phone with my colleague, and my ex was jealous. And I'm trying to think, why was she mad? Because I'm not cheating on her. And if she was doing the same, I wouldn't mind. So why? And so we replay those stories using our mindset, using our brain, but we function in a different way. Our belief system is different. The way we see the world is different. And therefore, it's very hard for you to understand they are part of the story. It's very hard also for you to challenge the perception. We often think that we are always right, that the way we see the life is the right way. And breaking news, it's not that it works. We all have different perception of life. And that's what makes relationships amazing, but also very hard to maintain. So be aware of that. And if you're struggling to understand why, or what went wrong, or what they expect from you, you don't have tons of solutions. Ask me, ask a therapist or a coach to help you out figuring out all those things. You know, ask about their psychology, how they see the relationship. You know, sometimes I had a call the other day, and my client, she was sort of what I call the rhino, so someone very vocal who would express her needs and things like that, whereas her ex-husband was more of a hedgehog, so more like when there's a conflict, he will retract and not being able to speak. And of course, their perception of conflict is different. For a rhino, a conflict is healthy. We bring everything on the table, we discuss, we yell, we shout, but at the end of the day, it's done, and I'm happy with that. For a hedgehog, it's like a conflict is something I really need to avoid. I really want to put the dust under the carpet. And I want the storm to pass, to went by, and then I'll be fine. So it's a very different approach. And when you see the life with different lenses, the story is different. So you have to really put yourself into your ex's shoes to come up with the right solutions. If you don't understand what I meant in this slide, please do comment, please do get in touch with me. There are links in the description where you can get in touch with me and ask as many questions as you want. The idea is very important. I would really want to emphasize on this point. I think I'm the only one talking about this online. Really, really spend time understanding what your ex wants. Because if you do have the wrong goals, you can work as hard as you want. You're going in the wrong direction and you're fixing the wrong problem. Makes sense, but a lot of people fail to notice that. 7, not taking care of yourself. Well, this one is very common online. You might have heard of it, but the mechanism is like this. You feel depressed, you feel down, and I've been in your shoes. It's awful to get dumped. And therefore you have no motivation. You have no energy. You sit on your couch like, ugh, whatever. And therefore there's no action. It's a status quo. And therefore, what the fuck are you doing? If you want to get back with your ex, you have to take action. You have to kill the status quo. You have to therefore get more energy. And the way to do it is a bit to fake it in order to make it, or to force yourself. For example, if you want to be more active and want to do more sport, rather than thinking, I'm gonna do sport when I'll be motivated, when I feel it's sunny out there and I feel I could go for a run, you book a class, you force yourself to be accountable, you pay for that class, and you force yourself to go there. Because usually when we don't feel like doing something, it's really the first 30 seconds to 5 minutes that actually is blocking you and is like, oh, listening to yourself, I don't feel like it. Once you make that commitment of, I am gonna go to this class, I've paid for that class, it's gonna be very hard for you not to do it. You'll feel committed, you'll feel accountable, and you feel that that's the right thing to do. And also, by booking things in your calendar, it also prevents you from thinking, oh, what should I do? Because if you have nothing planned, the default position will be like, I'm great in my sofa. I'm great in my sofa. I'm going to watch Netflix or other videos of Alexis, which I can't really blame you for that. But what I want you to do is watch my videos, of course, like my videos, of course, subscribe, of course, but take action. That's what we're going to do here. Take fucking action. Write down the things that you should not think. You shouldn't think about being manipulated. You shouldn't think like being impatient. You shouldn't think about idealizing my ex. Write it somewhere. And anytime you have a thought, anytime you think about your ex, look at those things. Now, the thing you should not do, to beg, to vent, to some extent, be manipulative. Anytime you do something and you want to contact your ex or you want to do something, remember, am I in the begging position? I'm not saying you shouldn't see friends, but you shouldn't talk about your breakup to your friends. So when you see your friends, think about, okay, am I just venting to my friends? Am I just complaining to my friends? Okay? Really remember that. When I post video online or things on Instagram, am I trying to manipulate your ex or am I just posting it because I want to post it? Really remember those things. And maybe, I don't know, put a post-it somewhere. Remind yourself of those things every single day. Because if you don't, and you make those mistakes, you are actually damaging the chance for you to get back with your ex. Now, the thing you should do, learn about your ex's psychology, learn about their narrative, put yourself in their shoes. And if you don't know how to do it, call me. Take care of yourself. A relationship is about 30 hours per week. Now that you're single, you have 30 hours to do whatever you want, to do whatever you like, to learn something new. Challenge yourself. How do you want to come out of this breakup? How do you want to show up to your ex? Okay? It's not by doing stuff passively. Is that a word? Being passive, watching videos. It's really about the action. So my videos are, of course, a passive way for you to of communication, and I think in some way it helps you listening to those tips. But what I want you to do is to act, is to do stuff. Because sitting on your couch, watching me, again, it's great, like the video, subscribe, but it's really about how you take those tips and those actions into your real life and make that progress. And last but not least, as you know, this month I'm doing a 30-day challenge. We are also on WhatsApp. I've created a group that you can join. I think it's limited in number, so have a look, because I think I will max out the number of people in a group very quickly. Have a look. I'll be sharing some content and some other materials. There's also some stuff in the description. Have a quick look. Ask any questions you want on the comment section. Feel free to give me a call if you want to have a chat, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.